Hey guys, we'll be reviewing in just a little bit. Give me a few minutes for us to get situated, and we'll start in momentarily.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, guys, we're back again. Um, I don't think I need to review too much about what happened today with the stock market, but just to be nice, we'll just go over things. So we know that the Nasdaq was affected greatly today. So that means a lot of tech stocks were affected. I think the Russell at one point was the only one that was positive. At one point earlier today. We know that this thing deep seeks some kind of Chinese AI setup is supposedly going to kill or is slightly a lot cheaper than other AI work that other companies are working on, specifically Nvidia and others. Uh, don't know if that's true yet, but that is what's being the rumors that's being spread. So that caused a lot of the Nasdaq stocks to just drop like a rock. The SPY, it dropped today significantly, 5-6% from my understanding. So for the pre-market, this is going into tomorrow. Uh, you have the Dow futures are slightly down. The S&P futures are slightly up. The Nasdaq futures are up a little bit over 1/4%. And believe it or not, it actually makes sense because we have such a great sell-off today that things would be up for tomorrow. And based on what kind of happened with my Nvidia stock, let's say we'll look at it. The worst case, I was like 5,000 negative, and then after hours, I went closer to like 2,500. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Um, Asia, we're basically, you know, we're probably about breaking even here. And then looking at the U.S., end of the day, today, Dow Jones, it was up. The VIX was very crazy, um, over 20%, which, if you know the VIX, you know that's a bad number, very volatile. Um, Even the Russell, which had been up at one point, ended up 1% negative. The Nasdaq was the leader of the negatives indices, and we got over 3%, and I'm actually surprised at that. Um, it could have been a lot more. Um, and the S&P was 1.5%. So we had a significant move downward today, and yeah, that's just what happens sometimes. So we're gonna take a look at percentages really quick. Obviously, Nvidia was leading the pack. Everyone wanted to trade Nvidia. Um, NVDA. Uh, and as we can see, when the DeepSeek news came out, um, uh, NVDA closed at 142.32, and then in the post market slash pre market, it dropped to about 125, let's say. And many people, including myself, thought because it had already dropped so much that we would get a nice bump up, maybe to 130, where this wick is right here, this little AI wick, or 135 more specifically, up to 135, we could get a bump up, and then we would short that bump down. And so that was the plan. And the market makers said, hell no, we're not going to follow that plan. And we're going to do what we want to do. So, as you can see, I'll zoom here. The bump up never happened. And so we open at that, 125 level basically. And we got a little, like just the first, let's say 5 minutes or less, 4 minutes, we got a bump of maybe $3, and that was it. And then everything just went down, boom. And progressively went down. A lot of people kept trying, including myself, because we thought, hey, we're leveling out at 123. Let's try to buy in. We're leveling out at 121. Let's try to buy in. But we got basically down to 117. And I don't think anybody anticipated that. So at that point, you had two options at 117. Um, and we did bottom out at basically we got to 116 and change, but basically it was 117, 116.80 or whatever you want to call it. 116.70 was the bottom. Um, but we did come back up until 121, 122, and then just kept sliding back down, back to that 117 level. We did not come back up until after the market closed. Seeing this did give me some hope for tomorrow. We got to about like close to 123. And so that's the hope, is that tomorrow we will get, hopefully, back up at least into that 125, 126 area, possibly get a little bump, and then go from there, whether NVDA is going to continue to go back down.
I agree with the bump up. I
Um,
actually did the opposite of most folks, and
going
I
to
actually shorted
continue
NVDA all day.
go, um, or we're going to go back up. I think someone started talking, so we'll let her give her testimony. And yeah.
Um, I actually read NVDA very well today. I actually shorted NVDA and made some dinero. I waited and saw that it just kept going down, and waited till 11 o'clock to make sure that that was the trend. So basically, I had a successful day with NVDA and shorted it, and I agree with the bump up.
So Ms. Munoz made a good point that for the people who jumped in the market in the beginning, expecting the bump up because of the downturn in the pre and post market, those people had to either immediately reverse and do some shorts, or they just lost money. For the people who waited a little bit, those people were able to see a nice hanger here and go down, and they were able to short without they missed the beginning of the market, but they were able to short and not end up negative. And just to make a little note here. So what I thought was going to happen, it kind of did happen. And so it came back down and then it went back up again here. And I made money here at this area right here. But the problem is the amount that I made because when it went down a little bit, I averaged back in, no, I think I made money here and then averaged back in because VWAP was still going up. So I averaged back in with more shares and then it continually went down. And even though I was averaging in, it still continued to go down. So um, this bump wasn't as big or as long as I thought it would be. So even though if you make, let's say for instance, 500 or something, but you're still hanging on here, the bump here is a lot smaller than the downward bump here. So that's what um waiting until 11 when it was obvious where this was trending by then and just catching at the bottom was the smarter move today versus trying to get the bump up, getting a much smaller bump than you thought, maybe averaging in here, um, and then getting another bump, but it not coming to fruition and everything going down. Because I was waiting for that 10 a.m. to 10:30 rise, and as you can see, that just went progressively down. So, sometimes, like they say, when you play with fire, you get burned. So, hopefully, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hood was another negative today too. And Hood is another NASDAQ stock. Uh, so you're gonna get anything in the NASDAQ. You're gonna get much sympathy play here. Coin. I don't know. I'm assuming Bitcoin wasn't that great because obviously this is coin or whatever. But um, same thing here. We had a downturn. Everything once it got the news, everything just boom went down, and then coin tried to stay up a little bit more, but by the second bounce, you could see it was going down. So and coin had a little bit better bounce up, but it basically did the same thing. Uh, AMD over 5%. You're probably getting the same action. Exactly. Post free market, boom, come up, try to hang with things, and it can't. The QQQs, which represent the NASDAQ, is gonna be the same thing. It doesn't, believe it or not, this doesn't look as bad. But in the pre-market, it took all of its damage in the post pre-market. And then it came up. So it did a little bit better if you were in the queues. Maybe you got a chance to get out if you were smart. Um, because between here and here, most people would have thought it would have got as high as this wick. So maybe you got out here before it went down. Uh, but it didn't get as low as it could have gotten in the post market. But it was still down. Tesla, could have been a lot worse with Tesla, guys. Um, so with Tesla, we have over 2%, close to 3%. And let's see how we're looking here. Um, yes, same activity. Tesla did come up, so you did have a little bit of a chance because I was looking at Tesla and I'm like, huh, maybe I should jump into Tesla. Um, but then I saw that Tesla was gonna trend down too. So I'm like, yeah, should I go from the fire to the frying pan? Basically, Tesla was the frying pan, NVIDIA was the fire. In a sec, but still, you know, you're either gonna get fried or get burnt. Microsoft, let's see how Microsoft looks. Huh, okay, okay. Same thing. If you had the gap down, it was affected. The only difference is Microsoft somehow, I'm not gonna say rebooted, but it because it didn't make it back up, but it did better than most. So Microsoft, that's something that maybe is stronger. Maybe it will uh bounce back a little bit better tomorrow. If we want to put on the notes, take a look at Microsoft as potentially it wasn't as affected. The wick wasn't
I
as
wouldn't recommend playing with Microsoft because Microsoft is going to have earnings.
yes, earnings coming up with it. It still may be one you want to look at though, just because it was a little bit stronger. Um, you know, I kind of want to look at it tomorrow if you don't mind putting it on the notes. Um, I know beware of earnings, obviously. It's on the 29th, mind you, so you do have the extra day. I don't know if that's before market or after market, but because it was a little bit stronger today, it's something you may want to consider or may want to look at. That's all I'll say. Um, Intel 2%. Uh, uh, let's see how this looks. Eesh. I thought this automatically. Ish. All right. Well,
Hit the refresh in the left hand side.
okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so uh this came down like crazy. It wasn't that affected, it seems like, by the aftermarket and it was affected, but it came back. And so I don't know what this says or what it is. In the end, it came down like everything else, but you did have, it looks like some opportunities. Around it did do a little bounce up at 10:30. This is what I look for, that 10:39, I mean 10, you have a 10 to 10:30, and then you have like a uh 10 9:30 to 10, like a 9:30 to 9:45, and then sometimes you'll get a 9:45 to 10, a little downturn. But basically you got a little bounce up here that you could have taken your money and run. If NVDA had did something like this, I think I would have been more prepared to get my money out and then short it. Um Uh, Roku, we don't trade. P-Town, we'll just take a look at this because I think some of us are still interested in this. Um, Basically did something similar, but you had opportunities came up and it went down with everything else, just not as strong. But this is a Kava, the one I'm always thinking about. This is another one that yeah, the aftermarket affected it, but it did bounce back up. We do have a hanger here. Let's see what should we look at. We're kind of at a ceiling here, or floor, this would be. So, hmm, what do you think on this? We have this hanger. It has been coming down. Oh, but this, yeah, but we do have this hanger still. So it could come down a little bit more.
Okay, so sorry, can you zoom in on the daily, please? Sorry, like I meant not out, zoom in. Closer so we can see. Yeah, it's definitely a hanger on the daily here. And the trend has been going down. And it should hit that 100 period. Because you're right, it's close to the ceiling, so it should hit the floor at the 100 level.
So, that may be something you guys look at. We could put on the notes. Dix, one thing I did do while I was here in the beginning of the day, I got into, well, I'm in a short too, but I get into a, a put on this. Um, and that was because of something someone pointed out yesterday. Um, where is your hanger? It would have been, it was a daily, right? Let's close this. So, someone had pointed out this nice hanger here, and I was like, you know what? This is up in the yin yang, up in the sky. Um, why don't we try this? And I'm doing it early. This is totally crazy, all new highs. Um, so it's unprecedented area here. Um, earnings have been great. Dick's been making money hand over fist. But we have another. Would you classify this last one today as a hanger too? All right, it's another hanger, right?
It's very hangerish. It's neutralish, but more on the hanger side.
Yes. So if we could, just get down to this area, 229, I would be happy with that. So it's something that I bought a put option. I think I forget if it's when in February 7th or the last day in February, but it is an option that I got. Let's see. Car. We'll just take a look at that. I want to see if that ever got back up to 100. Uh, which looks like it never did. Okay. Yeah. And we had said if it gets to 100, we consider it, but last two earnings have been god awful. So, but we know that this is going to eventually go down to where it belongs. Um, I would say if you have the time to wait, let's put this on the list to look at options, Elisa. Um, tomorrow morning or something like that. I just want to look at options. I think we've looked at them before, and their options price was a little bit too ridiculous for us. Um, but I want to see where they're at for options. NFLX, this thing takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Um, it was out there. But it was like a Tesla. You know, we went up, we went down. It did take the hit in the aftermarkets and pre-markets, but you know, it did get back up to higher than where it had closed at, even though it was going down here. So it definitely gave you a chance to get your money back. Because if you didn't get your money out by here, which you should have got it out by here at best, you know, it gave you every chance. So you can't say they didn't try. Um, this I'm watching. I'm just watching this because I'm trying to see if this is going to crash after the Super Bowl. I think we do have a downturn here. Um, 100-day blue is starting to cross. That's the thing that kind of scares me though, because we cross here and now we're crossing on top again. So that kind of scares me. Because I would think we will be crossing where blue will be crossing on top. Let me see. This is 100 day. Yeah, it is. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. So, that's why I'm kind of hesitant on this because if it was crossing here, I would definitely do a short on it. So, I'm gonna wait. Um, Boeing, I think it had earnings or will have them soon or something. Okay, so we got one more day. Um, my personal thing is I'm not feeling good about Boeing, but hey, um, let's wait and see. We have some levels here. Where was that before it came back down? Um, I guess it has an opportunity to come back up. Do I think it? Well, if I had to guess, I'd probably say no. Um, if I had to be a betting man, I'd probably short this if I like risk taking. Elisa, let's put this on the notes for earnings because earnings is coming up tomorrow and I kind of want to look at it. If I wasn't stuck in
And
NVDA,
tomorrow, but you know if it's in the pre-market or the post-market.
I don't know.
Let me look. Can you go? Can you look
That's
it up?
why I have it on the notes for I want to look at it for people to look it up. They can easily look it up.
Uh,
And
but
look at it
that's my
later.
point. Can you look it up now? Because if it's tomorrow morning, it's too late.
Why do you say it's too late?
Like if you were gonna get something now for tomorrow.
Well,
Well, you could do
it's
post-market,
seven.
post earnings. But I just want to see if it's in the morning.
Yeah, you could buy a seven or something like that, you know.
Yeah, so but that's it's good to be prepared. So do you mind looking it
But
up in the Nasdaq? Because
yeah, but
I
that's
don't
why
have
I'm asking.
I don't have the computer. I'm in the
No, I understand. I'm asking people if you're interested to look it up or whatever, you know. Um, we should definitely talk about it more. This is just to give people ideas, you know. I'm not gonna, afterwards I can check it out if you want to review with me or whatever, but this is just notes for ideas for people. If you're really interested in it, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Um, Amazon, so we're getting into the positives. We'll just start at the bottom. Um, so we got Travelers Insurance, Dollar Tree, of course that's gonna come up now. Um, uh, I'm assuming, let's see what quarter they're gonna report. They're gonna report Q4, so I'm assuming they may get a bounce, just like it did a downturn here for this earnings. I'm assuming for the next earnings, it may do a bounce up. If you believe in that stuff with Dollar Tree, that may be something you hold on to um, as a bounce when they do their reporting for Q4. That gaps up this time, unlike last time it gapped down. Um, but that's just something to know. Apple. Oh, believe it or not, I don't think I should be surprised at this because this was week before. Oh my God. If I had just picked Apple. But it's hard. No one was gonna pick Apple, unless you have been following or in it before. Because Apple had been weak. I did get out of my what you call it though? Um, yeah, my options on it. But I think that was the other day. But anyway, this was so nice. But everyone was hooked like a freaking, I don't know what, like a piece of tape onto freaking NVDA. Did you ever even look at Apple or consider Apple?
I did get a call, but it was last week. I didn't
This
do this. I didn't do this one because it has earnings.
Yeah, this was the only one that so far that really wasn't affected by the pre or post market. Man, uh, Coca-Cola, don't look at that caca anymore. Um, EBC, um, continuing to do well. Um, Nothing really to say here. Um, they're not in the NASDAQ, I don't think so. Uh, 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 let's see, Campbell's. Hmm, interesting, Miss Munoz. What do you think? You want to put it on the list? Is it coming up to go up, even though we're about to cross here? You think it's gonna go back?
It's a hanger.
So you're saying it's going down?
It's not a defined hanger. It's more neutral. We will have to see the next candle to make a determination, but it's still at a good buying point. Let's go back.
Yeah,
Can you go back again to the daily?
this has a hammer here.
It's neutral. So but it's looking like it wants to do a breakout. It's at an excellent buying point, so you can't go wrong.
Uh-huh. Here we're below the 100 and the 200, and 100 is crossing under the 200, which is a downward sign. But then on the weekly, we're we're crossing over, and so as a more granular, this is at a good spot. So even though we're showing a hammer here, it I guess I don't know. It's like when I'm looking at this confuses me. But when I look at this, I'm like, well, this will continue to go up. So I don't know. But Campbell's had a good day. Our favorite, I have a put on this. I think to like February or something. I'm just waiting. We had two hangers here and then a hammer. So it did two hangers here, it went down, a hammer, it went back up. Um, Not sure what will happen with this. All I know is that this is really strong. We're going into earnings in 2 days, and it's just really strong. But be aware that the market makers, even though you're going into earnings, it could blow out earnings and the market makers could say, please, and please, we're not we don't care. Yeah, non-Nasdaq stock, I believe. Or maybe it is. I don't know, it got affected by the pre-market, but it came up. Um, yeah, all of this you're expecting it to fall. At this time. Yeah. So even though it had nice earnings. Um, so our highs were not that great. So, you know, um, you had quite a bit of a couple threes and then a few threes here and then quite a bit of two percentage points. Let's see where McDonald's is at. Uh, on its arc. Okay. So McDonald's came up, hit new what looks to be this is gonna be 52-week highs, definitely. Based off of this day, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. Sure. Yeah. So we have another 52-week high that was hit here. I think we were talking about people going down. You could expect it to come down. So, yeah, but people would have had to get in it. Uh, but that was the opportunity there. So yeah, it's you know, there were some things that I think if you got into things that weren't specifically NASDAQ or tech items, you could have made some money. And then Apple was the one bright spot. Um, what did you want to look at for you wanted to look at BA. Let's see. We got a couple minutes here. Uh, earnings day 128. But we don't have when. Let's see. Um, what's the name of that website, Miss Munoz, that does the
NASDAQ earnings. You go to Google.
no, it's that's
There,
another one.
there you go. That's it.
No, but there's another one that we always go to, but we can get this one.
Earnings Whisper. But this one is better.
Yes. Why do you say this is better?
Go back to where you were.
You got 1 minute. All right.
Go down. Go down. This tells you right there. Well, who's coming up? So AT&T has it tomorrow, bro. RTX Boeing right there. So it's pre-market.
Oh, okay, because it has a little star here. A little
That
sun.
that's a sun.
All right. So we got the pre-market and we'll see what happens. So if you want to buy it, you buy it in the morning. So that's all we have, guys. Um, like, subscribe. Let's hope NVIDIA comes back. At least I'm hoping. And yeah. Anything, Miss Munoz? We got less than a minute.
Yes. Microsoft, Kava, Car, Boeing. and DraftKings on the lookout watch.
Appreciate it.